Hey guys, yeah, it's Sunday morning. It's 7:35. It is Sunday morning, the 15th of May, 2022, and I wanted to come on here, I should say, and do a follow up on the video where I talked about Ian Flynn's unused concepts and ideas when he was the head writer for the Archie Sonic book. Now, obviously, I'd done this before, but I did this almost 3 years ago next month through I'm assuming an audio presentation video. I have to go back and look. But the one thing I didn't touch upon in that video, one of those videos, that I guess got revealed recently by Ian Flynn and his wife, Leah Baker, is that the Metal Virus arc that we got in IDW for, so many, issues, if you will, pretty much to the point that a lot of folks, even though they may have liked it, felt that it has run its course way before it officially ended. The Metal Virus arc, as I've talked about before, and I'm sure others have pointed out, seemed to have been originally meant for the Archie Sonic run. And going back and rereading these unused concepts and ideas of Ian's, that is pretty much the case. Now, I don't know if Sonic Vegeta and his co-host on the Archie Sonic Digest podcast talk about this when they talk about Ian's unused ideas. But yeah, apparently, they do touch upon it, but I don't know if they touch upon it further than what or basically further along as much as I did recently, because basically in the information that I read, not only was the Metal Virus arc meant to, in some capacity, be part of the Archie Sonic line, basically after issue 300, because we were going to have this, whole story arc where the Freedom Fighters, for a bit in Sonic Universe, of course, we're going to go their separate ways, team up with Saga characters, go on some adventures, and then come back together. Well, after these solo adventures they would have had in a 4 to 5 part run of Sonic Universe, again, like I said, they would have came back together, and it would be around issue 300 or afterwards that apparently the Metal Virus arc would have, become a huge storyline in Archie Sonic. And what's interesting about that is we know that in the IDW comics, Sonic got infected by the virus. Well, at least he was starting to get infected and everything, and the only way to prevent a full Zombot transformation, if you will, because of the virus, was to basically run almost to his death, if you will. He just had to keep running, keep going, and only slow down when he could. But even when he did, he had to keep going and going and going. The reason I bring that up is, as I mentioned at the end of that video I did yesterday, that premiered way early this morning, on Ian Flynn's unused concepts and ideas for the Archie book. Apparently, according to Ian and Aaliyah and many other sources close to the situation, it wasn't going to be Sonic who was going to be the center point character had the Metal Virus story arc been showcased in Archie Sonic. Instead, it would have been Bunnie Rabbot. That's right, Bunnie Rabbot, or Bunnie Rabbot to cool it, would have been the one that would, I guess, be the central point character of the story arc, kind of being the role that Sonic was in with the IDW version. And the reason this would have happened, according to the information, is because Bunnie is half robotic. And because she's half robotic and half organic, even though her organic half would get infected, it would be her robotic half that would help her keep some essence of her personality, basically retain, her persona and everything, despite being infected by the virus. So she would kind of be like the catalyst of not only someone being infected, but also keeping the free will, but she would also be the catalyst and the center figure of developing a cure, or at least finding a way to unaffect those that had been infected. And when I read this information, I was, and you saw me on camera even express this. I was not only surprised, but I mean, I just thought about all the possibilities that had slipped through the fingertips because of the behind the scenes issues at Archie. Not just with the lawsuit and everything, but everything else. And the opportunity to me was there. The opportunity to me obviously was there to run with something that, yes, they did run with and fulfill in IDW, but imagine if they would have done it in Archie Sonic. I mean, we pretty much, as I mentioned, in the video, we pretty much got a hint, I think, at the end of one of the main issues, one of the main comic issues, or one of the universe issues. I think it may have been the universe issue, which was focusing on Eggman and his cronies trying to take back Robotnik land, or Eggman land, from Ixis Nagas and his sister. Yes, he had a sister in the soft red card. Anyway, I think it was at the end of that where we started seeing all the egg bosses being, sent supplies and being told to get ready for a big project or something. And apparently this big project was a new form of robotization, but we didn't know exactly what that new form of robotization was. The only hint we ever got was one of the egg legionnaires who had basically failed, or was suspicious but failed to pretty much reveal that Bunnie was the Scarlet O'Hare Legionnaire, which was the code name Bunnie would under when she was undercover in the Dark Egg Legion, was a spy. So because of his failure, he ended up being selected as the first test subject for this new form of robotization. And all the sub-boss there could say in a very gentlemanly way was, he's just glad it's not him, and he hears that it's worse than the original robotization, or more risky, if you will, or more effective, or something like that. I gotta go back and read that part. But yeah, apparently there was going to be a new form of robotization introduced in Archie comics. But again, like I said, we had no idea what it was until later on. And the reason for that, information being revealed, was because, of course, the IDW Metal Virus arc seemed very, with the people being infected and everything, it seemed that it was a very similar, effect. It was basically affecting the people in a very similar way as robotization. And we also found out more information as well. Apparently, this was going to happen. It was going to have the same kind of follow-through storyline-wise, but that I think Archie had shot it down. They had shot it down, at least when it was proposed, because of the fact that they didn't want it to interfere with their current zombie apocalypse story arc that they had going on with their main Archie characters in comics like Afterlife with Archie and so on. So, from what I understand, he had proposed it, but it got shot down, or at least I'm assuming it got shot down, or it had to be reformatted to, be something a little bit more different than what originally was proposed. But whatever the case is, yeah, the Metal Virus arc was meant to be in Archie Sonic. And again, what's crazy is instead of Sonic being in that main center focus point, as he was in the IDW Metal Virus arc, had the storyline gone and been part of Archie Sonic post issue 300, instead of Sonic, it would have been Bunnie. And that, to me, like I said, it was a missed opportunity, because here you are, you're finally, and I'm not saying and like I said in the video, I'm not saying she didn't have any spotlight on her. She did. In fact, she was more utilized, and I hate to say this because I love the Saturday AM cartoon, but she was more utilized in the comics as a character than she was in the cartoons. Yes, she had her moments in the cartoons in season 1 and season 2. Don't get me wrong about that. But in the comics, she was more utilized, more times combined than what she was in the cartoon. Like I said, she had her moments, and I love that. But she was utilized more in the Archie comics than she was there. And to basically take this character and take what she had been through, no matter what continuity, it took place in, whether it was the original or the soft retcon reboot, or the post SGW, whatever you want to call it, post Worlds Collide, whatever. To basically to take someone like her, and like I said, everything she's been through with her robotization and then cyberneticness, because of in the original the robotization was poisoning her body, and the only way she could be saved is either be amputated by the legs and the arm or have permanent cybernetics, which she ended up getting until some Deus Ex Machina magic of the crystal kind, thanks to Nagas, caused those to go to flesh and blood. But then, of course, we would find out she would have been legionized and everything to get them back to, kind of get back to being the way she was. But anyway, in the new continuity, or the retcon continuity, she basically does get these robotic limbs, but not through robotization. Well, she does get them through partial robotization because it was the only way to save her, save her body. Basically, she was hurt and injured to the point that the only way she could walk and move again was to be partly, roboticized or cybernized. And that's what happened. And again, to have this character who's been through all this, and even in her confrontation, I should say, who was it with? Cassie, I think, Clove's younger sister, the one that's all cybernetic. For her to kind of, burst out the way she did, have the reaction she did when Cassie said, "Oh, it's not so bad," and everything, and tried to say, it's not so bad. You probably enjoyed it, or something like that. I got to go back and read that part. For Bunnie to have the burst out reaction she did and said, "I didn't choose this to happen to me, and everything," basically saying, "Hey, I didn't want this to happen to me, but just, I have no choice." For Bunnie to have that kind of reaction, it does tell you that even though she's learned to live with her condition and be accepted and loved and married for it, it's still a very touchy subject for her. It's still a very touchy subject. So like I said, to have a story arc with her as sort of the central character, like the Middle Virus arc, had it gone to Archie instead of IDW, to have her in that role that Sonic was in, again, it's a missed opportunity that, I hope to God and I pray to God that IDW, if they keep the Sonic license for as long as they can, decide to do a spin-off book, and the spin-off book basically is set in the world of the Archieverse, and that maybe they'll use that spin-off book to tell the stories they've already told in the IDW verse, but with an Archie twist. And if that does happen, hopefully in the future, they can redo the Metal Virus arc, maybe if Ian wants to, and in this case, finally do it the way he wanted to originally if the book had stayed with Archie. But yeah, it's hard to believe that when you look at that information and you find out that it was Bunnie originally planned to be the central character, infected by this virus, and the only way she's able to kind of retain, who she is because she's half robotic, and the virus can't affect what's already robotic. To have her be in that position, again, to me, is a missed opportunity, and honestly, had it happen, brings her story full circle. Because not only would you have her in that similar position like with Sonic, but after it's all said and done, she starts to have a better appreciation of the fact that she is half robotic, because maybe in this case of the mental virus, it helped to keep her personality, helped to retain, who she was and not become a complete zombot like everybody else. So, to me, that to read that information just, blew my mind. It really did. And hopefully, maybe someday down the line, if IDW doesn't do a spin-off book, like I said, set in the Archie verse and a retelling of what we already read in the IDW verse, but from an Archie verse point of view, hopefully, Archie Sonic Online does one down the line. Hopefully, Archie Sonic Online does their own version of the Metal Virus arc, had it been done in Archie Comics as originally planned. But yeah, to find out that Bunnie would have been the center point, again, that is a bombshell to me, to find out that she would have been in the role that Sonic had in the IDW version of Metal Virus. But what are you guys' thoughts? How do you feel about the fact that Bunnie, that it's revealed that it would have been Bunnie, in the role that Sonic was in, had the Metal Virus arc been released originally in Archie Sonic under the Archie Comics banner, had nothing behind the scenes caused the switch of publishers? What are your thoughts of Bunnie being in that role? How do you feel about that? Do you think that would have been more effective than with Sonic being in that role? Let me know down below and in the live chat during the premiere. Like the video. Super chats and super stickers are open. Super thanks button is enabled as well. And until that next time, guys, have a good Sunday, and I will talk to you later.